thanks to my wife, I get to have a little bit of a breather. My name is Vander Puchert, and this is Finding Frequency. So, what I mean by that, today we spent a little bit of time away. I must actually explain this. And I'm sure this is true for most cities, but I find it quite interesting, and it's something I appreciate about living here in Warsaw. And I think it's relatively new. It's hard to describe because as a Capetonian in South Africa, this is kind of a general thing. And I'm talking about breakfast markets, flea markets, those kind of things. Now, here in Poland, I know for sure that flea market is not entirely an unknown thing, but markets where you can go and have different kinds of food, potentially foods not prepared necessarily by restaurants, probably small entrepreneurs, and the kind of informal setting is not something that I understand was common in Poland or commonly appreciated. Now, when I say relevant or relatively, it is, I've been here for 4 years, so that 4 years have flown. But I remember getting here the first time and Martha and I going out into the city to what became our regular breakfast market, where we get to eat all kinds of different food. So you'll find there Polish food, not as much, but then there's like Mexican, Spanish, some homemade breads, all kinds of really interesting food. I mean, there's actually a guy from Mexico, and I think he's connected or married to a Polish lady, and he makes burritos, and that became one of my favorites that I used to go and grab every weekend. And since then, I've tried different things, but it's a very awesome atmosphere because there's very nice parks here in Poland, here in Warsaw. And they usually have these little stalls up. There's benches where you can sit and eat, and then you can throw out a blanket, sit in the grass, in the shade, in the park, and just hang out. And that is exactly what we did today. We haven't done it at all this year due to the pandemic. And today we decided that let's do that. And we went to an area called Mokotów and chilled in the shade there. I had a good old ginger beer. Martha bought some Japanese food. Interestingly, I have a Japanese weekend theme. Very busy. Masks abound. But I don't want to talk about pandemic stuff. It's getting too much. But we got to spend a little bit of time there, burn some of Francis' energy, some of his battery. And then also nicely, a little nice side effect is that we actually discovered a new park. And in this park, I have to go and research what the actual history of this park is. But there's a whole bunch of sculptures in this park and a very old building. And the reason I mention it actually looks over the older part of Warsaw, because you kind of get this feeling that Warsaw is relatively flat. But this park specifically had like what I can only describe as kind of a terrace at the back, and then you could actually look over the older part of Warsaw from the back of this park, and then you can go down into like a little valley kind of vibe. So we spent some time, not like briefly there, walking through there, and I must say I really enjoy and appreciate the parks here in Warsaw. I remember in Cape Town, there was one or two. And funny enough, parks aren't really always well supported in South Africa. And here they are very nicely kept. People are keeping it clean. It's people are sitting there with their families, hanging out in the sun, having maybe a small picnic, and all ages just hanging out and appreciating the sun and being with your family and friends in the park, which I really love. Martha has this tendency to always want to leave the city to go out to the countryside, which is awesome too. But I must say, between you and me, I really enjoy being in the city. I love exploring the city. I'm a city boy, and just having that opportunity briefly though today to discover something new and be in the city, be in the park. I always appreciate the shade. It always feels so cool and refreshing and quiet, and you hear the birds, but you can still hear the city buzzing in the background. So that is what we did today. I also get to have a little bit of time because we've seen that the unfortunate thing with Frans is that I think he's running on a Tesla battery. And usually when I start running out of energy and power, he kicks into level 2 and loses his mind completely. So Marta has discovered a way to take him out to like a very, very quiet public pool to go and lose his mind there. And usually when he comes back, and the same happened yesterday, he just completely crashes. That being said, we also went to another park last night. Took a walk there. I was jumping around on the long board, and he was chasing me on his bicycle, and that ensured that he would really just got home, a quick bath and crash, and then we just got time to chill. And I think Marta's got the same strategy now. Hopefully when he comes back, the same will happen. But with Francie, you never know. He's got this high level or threshold for energy that sometimes I can't maintain and I get really tired. But yeah, so Warsaw in summertime is one of my favorite things. It's beautiful. There's always interesting food. Of course, there's this kind of dark backdrop of pandemia and all these kind of things, and you try and keep your distance, and you don't want to forget that. So it was really cool to have a little bit of experience like that again after a long time of not being able to go into the city and really explore some of these things. So hopefully we'll do the same next weekend. We want to save some money the next couple of weeks because we have a small kayak trip planned for the end of August, and that is going to be something that is going to be quite an adventure and hopefully something amazing for Francie to experience, because we are planning to camp for 2 to 3 days and then travel some of the waterways here. Not too long. I mean, probably a few kilometers on a kayak, and potentially Marta on her paddleboard. So we'll flip that around. And the waterways here are also, I've done recordings where we've been there. It's beautiful. It's clean. You can see the bottom of these rivers. It's clean and fresh, and it's just awesome being out there. So yeah, looking forward to potentially, but knowing my wife, she would probably ship me off somewhere else, but hopefully get to explore Warsaw a little bit, perhaps once or twice on the longboard or on bicycles, because that is also fun to do. And especially now when the city is not that busy, there's new things to discover, new parks to discover, and just enjoying the environment we are in. You don't always have to go and search out something new. And perhaps this is also something that is relatively interesting around this pandemic, is that Marta and I have really enjoyed traveling Europe, exploring Europe on shorter sprints like Paris and Barcelona and Germany. We've just spoken today that we'd love to go back to Berlin for another exploration there. But that's not something that I think is going to be a reality anytime soon. So really looking into how we can explore Poland, and specifically perhaps exploring Warsaw a little bit more, I think is something that we need to really consider, because there is really amazing things to discover and experience around our own area and our own city, like we did yesterday. Our little dodgy little neighborhood actually surprised us with what they did for the commemoration of the uprising. So you don't always have to look over the fence and cover things that you might not be able to do. Just look in your own backyard. There's some amazing little gems, perhaps. Great stuff. So I hope you are getting ready like I am for the next week. I think next week is going to be tough for me specifically. I can feel that I'm not really ready. My mind is not really in the space to start working. It's going to be tough for me to get back into it, because I've seen now I have a YouTube video that I want to finish. I've recorded it already, but I just haven't had the willpower to sit down and actually edit this thing. And I'm going to have to get into the flow of things and get my mind back into the game. I need to earn money. I need to be able to look after my family, and yeah, we all have to work, right? Cool. So that being said, I'm talking myself up, getting ready, rubbing hands together, and I hope that you're feeling the same, and I hope you had an awesome day. And perhaps if your day is only starting, don't be like me, standing around recording audio notes. Go and explore and do something cool. Thanks for listening.